Alright guys, Jay at Product Performance here. Got this Ford Cruise O Matic, whatever you want to call it, 1957 Thunderbird. Gonna start assembling. I still got a little bit more cleanup to do. Like for example, this I've got to dress this low band surface on the lathe, and I'm going to dress that on the lathe too, get that cleaned up. So, you know, still a little bit of cleanup left. A lot of this hardware has got to be cleaned up and stuff and gone through, but what I'm going to do is basically see what parts I'm missing and all that good stuff, because you know, these jobs just never go that smoothly, honestly. There's, like I said, a lot of little changes to these, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have trouble with this kit I bought. Couldn't get the kit I wanted, but, you know, so this BS here, if you look, overhaul kit, medium case, 1955 to 1971. Well, they didn't make a medium case in 1971, so 1968 turned into the FMX. So we're already in trouble. And this is the wrong seal right here, I can see right now. So this is going to be fun. I have a feeling that I'm probably not going to have all the seals I need. I bet you that the steel seal and ring kit there is probably not going to be right and all that stuff. So, but that's okay, you know. That's part of it. That's why I don't sell rebuild kits. I don't want to get involved in this anymore. Because I've got extra stuff around here that's gonna probably get me out of this bind. Because nobody knows what you're talking about when you call for parts on these anymore. I hate to say it, but so okay, that's my little concern with the overhaul kit. Bands, I've got bands because I'm a big geek. I've got a ton of bands on the shelf, and you know, here's this still packaged up, made in USA. So there's a front band, and that's the right one. At least I think it's the right one. If we look at our original one here. So, yeah, we're going to be okay. Alrighty. And you can see how dusty these boxes are. I've had them around a while. Nope, that is not the right band. This box wasn't labeled, so that's a small case offset lug band. So I gotta go. I know I've got some rear bands, so no problem. I'll go swap that out in my little inventory I've got of this kind of stuff. I should sell this stuff off someday. I'm getting old. I don't need it all anymore. All right. I'll swap the band out. So I guess a couple things here. So here's our clutches, and this is got the old brass clutches in them. Some guys have a big chubby for those. I don't, but I'm going to replace all that. So we got 5 of them in there. And a lot of times on these old units, the steel plate had a crown to it. And let me see, these seem flat. Yeah, these are flat. Somebody may have replaced them. A lot of them had a crown to them, would cushion the shift. And this doesn't appear to have those. So I'm going to dig up some clutch plates and steel plates. I'm going to go find a rear band. And here's another thing I want to show you too. This housing, see, it's got that baffle plate in it. Well, these old units, and I don't think you can see down in there, but beyond that, beyond this baffle plate here, you just get all kinds of nasty sludge buildup behind there. And what I did with this, and it looks really nice now, but I put it in our ultrasonic cleaner for, geez, it was in there for like 2 hours. It was in there a long time. So that cleaned out all that crap in there. What I had to do years ago before I had an ultrasonic cleaner, I had to remove this so I can get in there and, you know, use, you know, brushes and Scotch-Brite pads and solvent and just, you know, kind of hand scrape all that stuff out of there and then, you know, just kind of epoxy that back in. But with the ultrasonic cleaner, I didn't have to do any of that, so that turned out nice. Got a little gasket on it still to get off, but got all that old red paint off of it. I'm working on getting rid of that. So, okay, that's something you got to be aware of, is all that crap that builds up in there. Of course, I'm going to be checking for any bushings I might need. And, okay, let me go round up a band, and I'll round up some clutches. I'm going to, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this main shaft here, and I'm going to check the fit and check the sealing rings that came in this kit. A little worried, and I'm going to get new sealing rings on this, and we'll go from there. Except for here, I'm not going to put these two on yet, but I can put these two on, get these two on, and these two at the end. So I'm going to get that done, and we're going to start assembling the clutch drums onto this shaft, okay? So I will be right back. Let me go gather some more pieces. Alright, so I dressed up that surface. That looks much better. And I got lucky on this deal. These roller bearings are staying in place. So all you need to do there, or if they didn't stay in place, you know, just take your assembly lube and, you know, just pack it with assembly lube, and this will hold the bearings in for you. Mine are held in, but I'm putting assembly lube on it anyways, just so they're not dry and when we first go to run this. And just to make sure, you know, just make sure they stay there. You never know. Alright, so what I've got to do, this drum, alright, so I've been checking my sealing rings. Yeah, so far I'm making out pretty good there. So if you look, I just put the sealing rings on here, and I also put them down here, these gapless rings. Now these rings here I don't like. I don't know if you can see, but they're very spread open and really run in danger of breaking one when you go to install the drum. So again, with this unit, everything just gentle, no force. So I'll doctor those up with assembly lube, get them in just the right spot, and just very easily drop the drum down on there. Hopefully I don't break them. You know, this kits I used to get had gapless rings, so they would, you know, they would clamp together, and I like those a lot better, but that's going to be too much to ask for, I think, getting one of those kits these days. Now that these, you know, you got Transtar and Witt branding their own stuff, and I don't know where they're getting it from, and I wish they wouldn't do that. I've got the front band soaking in transmission fluid, because that's going to go in the case here before we drop all the drums in. I found a rear band. It's actually a Kevlar lining on it. So had that on the shelf, ready to go. Well, I got to soak that too, but alright. So this drum here is the piston. It goes in there, so it's going to be a square cut, or what they call lathe cut seal. It goes in this groove, and then it's a round O-ring that goes down in here. So I got to scramble through this kit and find these. Again, there are so many little subtle changes to this unit, so you kind of have to sort through all your O-ring seals, and you have to know how to make sure they're the right ones. And you know, if you don't know how to do that, what I would suggest is, say, put this inner one in, then drop your piston in and make sure it's got resistance. And then once you're sure of that, you can take that back out and then put your outer one on and drop it in and see if that's got proper resistance. Then if that seems okay, then you take it back out and put both O-rings on. That way you're just checking the fit of one O-ring at a time. You're not getting fooled. These pistons tend to fit really tight. They kind of overdid it on the press fit on the seals in these old units, but that's okay. It doesn't seem to cause it a problem. So, alright, you don't need to watch me rummaging through O-rings. I'm going to do that. This video is probably going to be a 3-parter, I'm guessing. I probably won't get a lot done tonight, but we'll see. I'll keep going here. What's our time? We're at 11 minutes, so we'll go another 10 minutes, see how much I get done. So, alright. Well, let me go grab the O-rings, and I'm going to get this drum put together, and we can put it on there and air check it. Let the good times roll. Be right back. Okay. So I got my piston and spring in and everything. So I want to show you this. Now the clutches aren't hard to get. The steels are going to be AOD reverse, and the frictions are AOD reverse. There are different thickness steels, and the clutches are just, you know, like I said, AOD, and same as Power Glide. So if you look here, there's a little ridge here, and I'm taking my dial caliper here. I'm going to put it on that ridge, a little tricky, and I measure down to the friction. We got too much clearance, about 75 thou there. Now, this is the pressure plate, and you got to make sure this is still flat and it didn't get crowned. I haven't actually checked that yet. I'm going to check that in a minute, but I just want to show you that. And then this is going to drop here. Now you got 3 snap rings. So these two are about 90 thou thick, and it looks like these are both going to go on the forward drum. And then you have a 75 thou thick one that's going to go here, okay? And when you put this in, you want to kind of check your clearance between this snap ring and the pressure plate, which is very minimal in this case, and it usually is. You know, it's less than 5 thou, just a few thou. But you need to add that when you're checking your clearance. So what I'm going to do, I've got some steels here that are extra thick. So I'm going to swap out a couple of these thinner steels for thicker steels and tighten this up, you know, I don't know, about 40, 50 thou I think is good. I'm probably going to shoot for more like 50 thou. 75 thou is a little loose. It would work, but we're gonna tighten that up a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. Okay, all assembled. I put a lot of assembly lube inside there. There's a bushing in there. I checked the fit of that. That bushing's fine. Don't need to replace that, thankfully. I don't know if I can get one. Alright, so the next step, we go back over here now. I told you about these sealing rings. So I'm going to put a lot of trans prep on it, and I'm going to try to get them centered best I can. The thrust washer goes here. And we covered this in another video. You know, don't worry about these thrust washers looking a little discolored or whatever. This washer is fine. And it's not like I can just go and buy a set of thrust washers for this thing. Or at least I couldn't last I knew. Probably hasn't changed. I can hardly get regular thrust washers anymore for newer transmissions the way it is. So, not going to worry about that. That's all good. So I'm gonna trans-gel this real good, make sure my rings are centered, because what happens is, I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of overhangs a hair. When you go to slide this drum down on it, it'll pop this ring out of the groove and it'll break it. So one thing I want to stress, when you slide this drum onto this shaft, very, very easy. You should not have to force or tap or, you know, whatever. Just, it should slide on nice and easy. If it's not, stop right away and pull it back off and check your sealing rings and center them back up again and try again. I'm gonna shut the camera off because I need both hands for this. I don't want to break these rings. I don't know if I have another set. Alright, here I go. Wish me luck. Okay, piece of cake. Slid right on, no problem. But I went real easy and tried to keep it centered as I came down, and just came down real easy on it. Now what I do, if you look down here, this hole right here, this hole goes through, so, but this is the hole that's going to apply this direct drum. I need to put my finger on the other side of that hole, and I'm going to use this rubber tip deal here and air check it. I've already done it and air checked good. I don't know, let's try this. Let's try to put this right here. Maybe you can see it. I'll probably break my camera and that'll be over. There you go. Alright, so you can see that it seals pretty well, so everything's good. So now, let's move that out of the way. Let's see, so what we're looking for now, yep, this here. We got this, I don't know, spacer or whatever you want to call it. And there's two little tabs it kind of just locks into so it doesn't spin. So just make sure you're in there. And then, I believe it's this washer. That washer goes there. I think this washer, yeah, that's the, okay, I got the right washer. So, this is going to go here. Now, I can put these two sealing rings on, and then I got to build my forward clutch. So that's here. And I've got, I had this in the ultrasound for a while. It was very caked up, but I see some corrosion in here. Now, you know, I always tell guys this, and I think they don't believe you, but, and you know, we don't know the history of this, and it's a very old car. I do feel like this transmission's been built before, but I saw a lot of, if I can see it on these, I threw some of this stuff out already that I know I wasn't going to use. I'm not going to use these either probably, but you know, there was some rust on these steel plates. There was a little bit of rust on that shaft. I had to polish that on the lathe before I put the drum on and all that. We got a little bit of rust in here. You know, this car probably did some sitting, but I want to stress this, you know, it had fluid in it, car's done some sitting, and you get rust inside the transmission. One of the things I noticed, if you look here, this is the governor valve, and if you can see all the, it's got little bits of rust on it. This was stuck because it's just kind of corroded. And you know, like when you sell somebody a new transmission, or you know, rebuilt, whatever, and it sits in their garage for 2, 3, 4 years before they put it in, maybe even 6 months, it may not work, you know. And the reason is because you get stuff like this happen, and these, you get the little bit of corrosion on these valves, and they stick, and you know, people say, well, geez, you know, I just got it in the car, it's not working. I understand, but it's been sitting around for 2 years. Who knows what happened? Oh, well, it's been inside, and, well, I'm glad you didn't leave it out in the rain, you know, or in a snowbank or something, but we get moisture inside these gearboxes, and transmission oil, it's not great for keeping corrosion away. It's not, you know, the worst, but certainly not the best. So, and you can see a lot of evidence of that in this unit just from sitting around. There's a lot of rust in it. So, and you know, I'm sure that governor was stuck. That probably would have stayed stuck had they ran this thing at all. So I just want to point that out. You know, when you see these old units and things sitting around, you know, even here where I am in Texas, and this shop here is climate controlled. We run AC in the summer and heat in the winter, so, you know, it's not exactly being outside in the elements, but it gets very moist here at times, believe it or not, and a lot of the things in the shop rust, and it's frustrating. So don't kid yourself. Don't think because you had it in your garage it's never going to rust, especially if you left it wrapped up in the plastic. That's probably worse. I think the humidity just gets inside there and stays in there longer. I think that might even actually be worse. So anyways, so I am going to clean up this in here and put it on the lathe and clean that surface up and get my clutches together and my clearance together for this drum here. And you're gonna do the same thing we did in the other one. You have this lip here that we're gonna measure from here down. You know, this drum is tricky because you can't see the clearance at all once you put this cover on. That's it. You're not gonna see anything. So all you can do is measure, you know, and hope you did it right, because you can't see what your clearance is when it's assembled. So careful measurements here. We got a few things that have to go in there. This gear goes in there. There's a little phenolic washer that goes in there. And these, honestly, never seem to be an issue. They're brittle, you know, so don't like start bending it to see if it's still pliable. They never were, you know. They don't get better with age, but they never were that pliable, so don't goof around with it. It will crack, and I don't know, you know, it's probably not easy to get another one. So I've had to make stuff like that before. Okay, so I'm going to put my sealing rings on the shaft, and I'm going to assemble this forward clutch, and we're going to put that on and air check it just like we did with the Direct. So I will be back again. Okay guys, so got these frictions in. Now this gear drops in and there's no washer between this gear and the drum. Okay, which seems a little weird, I know, but makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. Now this phenolic gear is going to go here. Now sometimes this usually stays put pretty good when you put the trans gel on it, but so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the safest way to do this. We don't have to put the top on yet. So let's lubricate this real good. Same thing with this sealing ring. You got to be careful with these sealing rings. So I'm lubricating the bore with the trans prep. We're going to go over here. We got to watch these rings. They're not quite as bad as the others, but lots of trans prep. Keep them in place, keep them lubricated, and be real generous with that. Center those up a little bit on our washer. Make sure your washer's here. Alright, let's give this a try. And be kind of hard one-handed. Drop this on. Now we have to engage into those other clutch plates. So this is kind of tricky. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I can't do it with one hand. This doesn't want to go. Alright, sorry guys, I'm going to pause you for a second here. Alright, much easier with my other hand. So, I checked our clearance here. This has got the disc spring and everything in it like most of the other Fords, so you don't want a lot of clearance in it. I'd say 20 to 35. This was right at 35. I put a thicker steel in, but then that made me too tight, so I'm leaving it at 35. So, okay, and like I said, Safeway here. We're going to put our washer on now. We don't have to worry about the washer falling out of position and not going over that hub here. Not a big deal, but so got that. And then this guy here, it's got a bushing in it. You want to make sure this pressure plate surface is flat. This one is, thankfully. These are heat treated, and you can't, the best way to resurface them is with a grinder, with like a tool post grinder on your lathe, but I don't have that, and I've had to do it before just by turning it and, and then trying to dress it up with emery cloth after and everything. You can do it, but it's just kind of tough because it's so hard. So, okay, that slips in. And your snap ring. I might need my other hand again. I'll be right back. Okay, got this on. Just make sure your snap ring is seated in the groove properly. That's important. I put the thrust washer on here, and it's on with trans prep, so it will stay on. And then to air check this one, you're going to go to the bottom of the shaft here, and there is a hole right underneath it. And then you can just, check it. Kind of see this thing. You can see it move a little bit. Feels solid, sounds solid. Alright, so this is ready to go. So now what we got to do, get rid of this old stuff. Alright. So the case here, it's got a bushing in front here. I've already checked that. That's in good shape. I checked the fit of that. So, need my other hand again. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I've sat my case on the table, and my table has a slot cut in it. That's pretty important. Otherwise, you could sit this on top of the bell housing or something if you don't have a hole or a slot in your bench. You can just use the bell from it. So you can see my band here. I've already put the band in. Very important when you put this band in, if you look at this end, it's got this counter bore in it, and that's got to go on this pin here. Okay, so the band has to go in like this. You don't want it flipped upside down the wrong way. It really sucks when you put the whole gear train in and you got to take it all apart again because you put the band in upside down. So, and this is kind of how I placed it. It's not where it belongs ultimately, but that's where it kind of needs to be so I can drop this assembly in. Of course, I'm going to need 2 hands for this for sure. And I've got to bring this assembly and put it in here. So I'm going to carry this over in one piece and just drop it inside the case. Alright, give me a second. Alright, there it is. Dropped it in. I had to kind of lift the band back up as I put it in with one hand and So that's kind of roughly in its position. Drums are in. Alright, so we're going to continue on here. I am going to, let's see, we're a half hour into this video. I am about 13 and a half hours into my work day. I'm tired. I've had enough fun for one night. So I'm going home. Alright, so we're probably gonna, this video is probably gonna be 3 to 4 parts to get this done. I'll put it on the dyno too. We'll do that when it's finished as well. Alright, so we're gonna stop for tonight. Tomorrow we will continue on with this madness. And so that's a good start. I'm happy so far. The WIT kit is working out. Happy about that. I know I got that one seal in the extension housing that's wrong for sure, but that's not a big deal. I should have one of those around. So we've got some more bushings to check, and check the sealing rings for the governor. These I've already checked the fit of, and these are gapless rings, so that makes life easy. Thank God these are gapless, because trying to get the output shaft on with those things flopping around like the other rings, that could be very frustrating. So, alright. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this nonsense. And look for part 2 if you dare.